Well, wish you all good health and welcome back to my channel. And today we are going to take up the emerging, remerging infections and the early identification and control of new infections. And we will carry off from right where we left in the part 1. And before we commence, please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Subscribing is completely free, so please go ahead with it. It means a lot to me. The thing that we are going to begin in this today's presentation is about the antimicrobial resistance. One of the factors that has led to this, re-emergence of diseases which were once controlled is due to the development of antimicrobial resistance. The World Health has declared that this AMR, antimicrobial resistance, is one of the top 10 global public health problems that is threatening humanity. It requires multi-sectoral action in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, to achieve that holistic health. Over the years, the misuse, the overuse of antimicrobials are the main drivers in the development of this drug-resistant organisms. And not only this, the environment is also a contributing factor because of the lack of clean water, sanitation, and inadequate infection prevention and control has promoted the spread of these microbes, and some of which has developed resistance to the antimicrobial treatment, adding to the problem and agony. There has been developed global action plan to combat the antimicrobial resistance, which has 5 strategic objectives which you need to know. Firstly, to improve the awareness and understanding of the antimicrobial resistance, to strengthen the surveillance and research, to reduce the incidence of infection, to optimize the use of antimicrobial medicines, and to ensure a sustainable investment in countering antimicrobial resistance. The bacterial resistance is often noted in organisms like the causative organism of tuberculosis, malaria, enterococci, staph aureus, streptococci, pneumococci, this cocci group of organisms, Haemophilus influenzae, Neisseria gonorrhoeae, and these resistant organisms are often commonly called together as the multi-drug resistant organism, or MDRO. So you need to be familiar with this acronym, that is MDRO, multi-drug resistant organism. We often say the problem in malaria is of double resistance. What do we exactly mean when we say like that? It is because in malaria, not only the problem is due to the Plasmodium falciparum developing antimicrobial resistance towards chloroquine, mefloquine, it is also the vectors, the Anopheles mosquito, which is actually developing insecticidal resistance. That is adding to the scenario getting more green. So what is the lesson that I've learned from the past emerging infections? And even if you consider the present one, that is COVID-19, you will find that an infectious disease is not just limited to one country. If it has developed as a threat in one country, there is every possible that it will transcend down the international borders and spread to all other countries as well, if adequate precaution is not taken, not adequately alerted, which is very evident in the present scenario with COVID-19 almost being a wrath across the globe. The tremendous negative economic impact it has because of the trade, travel, and tourism all getting restricted because of this. emerging infectious diseases, leading to huge loss, and the socio-economic condition is also jeopardized. And besides, for containing any emerging infection, the political commitment, the commitment at the level of the citizens, at all levels, local, national, international, has to be of, of highest degree to attain the containment. And even in COVID-19 and in any emerging infection for that matter, the World Health Organization plays a crucial role to promote, develop the international cooperation, support, and camaraderie to contain these diseases. So, global partnership and rapid sharing of data and information enhances the preparedness and response. So, we have to keep these things in mind when we dealing with any kind of new or old emerging infections. It is emerging or reemerging infections. The emerging infectious disease management has to be dealt in a proactive, planned approach. The phase 1 is about the non-alert but preparatory state, which is the routine one, that irrespective of the fact there is an ongoing emerging infection or not. The phase 2 is about the alert phase, that is about the detection, confirmation, and declaration of the changes, if any detected. The phase 3 is about responding to the changes detected. So it is about the assessment, the planning, the implementation of the appropriate responses according to the disease concerned. And phase 4 is always about re-evaluating whatever is being intercepted. And based on the evaluation, the preparatory phase is again to be reconsidered in a newer light. So you can see the multiple expertise are needed in this scenario to take care of this, be it the knowledge about infectious disease, the epidemiology concern. The better the knowledge about the epidemiology of the disease concern, the better we will be able to intervene or intercept to contain it. Public health involvement, the telecom and informatics, because the information management and telecom informatics, the better it is, and the communication channels are well maintained, then the circulation of information leading to better awareness will be generated, and of course a robust and well-equipped laboratory support system, along with international field experience shared between all the countries concerned. So there are a lot of overlapping areas. So strategically, if we look at it, we need to strengthen the national and the local programs of active surveillance, because unless we continuously follow a surveillance, a monitoring of these infectious diseases, we won't be able to detect early the outbreaks and take prompt action based on the prompt identification of the emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases. Secondly, we need to improve the routine diagnostic capabilities. As I said earlier, the laboratory setup, the backup has to be very robust, so that we are able to detect or diagnose the common microbial pathogens, so that outbreaks due to infectious diseases may be more well diagnosed. Besides this, to enhance and to participate actively in the communication between national and international services involved in the disease detection, early notification, surveillance, control, and response is also equally important. Now, to encourage the routine testing of antimicrobial sensitivity and to foster the practices for national participation, regarding rational prescription, availability and administration of antimicrobial agents in order to limit the development of resistance in microbial pathogens is something that probably has greater importance than anything else, because this indiscriminate prescriptions, use of antimicrobials, this counterfeit drugs, wrong medicines and the wrong disease in the wrong dose has often done more harm than good. One of the organizations for, rather platforms for handling this outbreak alert and response network is the GOAR, the Global Outbreak Alert and Response Network, which is coordinated by the World Health Organization. It's basically a mechanism for combating the international disease outbreak. It is created to ensure a rapid deployment of technical assistance, contribute to long-term epidemic preparedness and capacity building, so that we are far better equipped to deal with the emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases. In this context, another important thing which you should be aware of is the International Health Regulation, or IHR. In 2005, the 194 member countries, which are considered as state parties, passed the International Health Regulations, and it is known as the IHR. As a legal instrument, this aim is to ensure public health through the prevention of disease spread across the borders, with limited interference to international traffic and trade. In order to do, IHR requires all countries to assess their surveillance and response capacities and to ensure that the core capacities are well built. So you can see why this IHR matters, why we need to have some regulations at the international level, not just at the national or the local level. Because the health threats have no border. As I discussed earlier also, that it is not that any emerging infection is limited to a country, that means it's not going to affect our country. And this all happens because of the more international travels, air travels, tourism, and travel trade are more safer if there are international health regulations in place. The global health security is enhanced because of the commonly shared knowledge. Daily threats are kept under control, and all sectors benefit from this. So if you look at it, the preparedness phase is the first phase before any incident takes place of any emerging or emerging infection. Once the disease takes place, the outbreaks is occurring, then is the response phase, which involves the pandemic or the alert phase. And this response phase moves on to the transitional period where the recovery is taking place, followed by prevention and mitigation, which is in the post-pandemic phase. And once this post-pandemic phase is reached, we go back again into a preparedness with a new knowledge. And this period before any fresh pandemic appears is the inter-pandemic phase. So, according to CDC, the emerging infectious disease, there are certain priority issues which you should be aware of. One of them, as we have already discussed, is the antimicrobial resistance, food-water safety, vectors and animal health, blood safety, opportunistic infections, maternal and child health, health of travelers and refugees, and of course, research and development of newer vaccines that are effective and can help us in the long run. So another aspect that we need to discuss before we roll up today's session is about bioterrorism. It is the intentional release of an infectious particle, be it virus or bacteria, from the confines of a laboratory or medical practice must be formally condemned as an irresponsible threat against the whole human community. That is, calling for a biohazard that is intentional, deliberate. The bioweapons have been a threat to humans for many centuries. And of them, the recent one, which is known to all, I'm not talking about COVID-19, actually the 2001 anthrax attacks in the US, in which letters were laced with Bacillus anthracis spores, which were mailed to the US government officials, is no doubt one of the most famous examples of past bioterror attacks. The plague outbreak in Surat and Bede in 1994 also caused numerous deaths and sizable economic loss, which created a long-lasting fear among the population of this country. But it is yet one of the controversial issues, whether it was really due to bioterrorism or something else. And CDC characterizes the bioweapons into three categories according to the severity or the impact they cause during a bioterror attack. The category A, that is the red one, is a high priority one, where the agents are easily transmissible, cause high mortality, like Bacillus anthracis, Yersinia pestis causing plague, Clostridium botulinum, etc. Category B is the yellow one in this pyramid, which is the second highest priority agents, moderate to easily disseminate, causes moderate mortality and morbidity, like Brucella, Chlamydia. And category C is the highest priority, third in order, that could be engineered to mass dissemination in the future. It has the potential for high morbidity and mortality rates, like Nipah virus, hantavirus. And the speculations remain high and yet to be well-founded regarding the COVID-19 vaccine making its way from the Wuhan lab to the global over. But it's all a story that is yet to be founded. So basically, we have to adopt a multi-level approach in ensuring legal deterrence, surveillance, medical management, and dissemination of the information to the public so that the public are aware. So basically, what we can conclude is that a comprehensive national strategy for infectious diseases addressing the various challenges of emerging and re-emerging infections, cutting across all relevant sectors, both governmental, non-governmental, should be in place. Identification of national centers of excellence and their capacity building is of critical importance. To develop surveillance tools, diagnostic tests, vaccines, and therapeutics through basic translational and applied research. Sometimes a rapid response mechanism at various levels of health service are the cornerstone to detect public health threats and respond quickly enough to protect the valuable human lives. So you can see that the emerging and re-emerging infectious disease are such a threat. But in this two parts, you also learned how to identify them, what are the modes of transmission, how we can intercept them, what are the different strategies to be adopted, what are the different international health regulations, what are the different international platforms to address them. So I hope you had a good understanding about the re-emerging and emerging infectious diseases. Do like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like the content, and press the bell icon if you want update about the newer developments in this channel. Thank you so much. Stay happy, stay safe.